Hey guys, what's happening? It is time for an IEM cast. We're going to cast off the replays. We're going to do a bit of a breakdown. So we are going to cast the games as normal. And then we are going to just kind of break down the replay and rewind and really talk about some of the key points of what players fucked up, what they did well, and hopefully give you guys a little bit more insight than we have time to at IEM itself when we're doing, a live show and a lot of details kind of get missed in the flow of it. So I may fast forward here or there, but for the most part, we'll see how it's going. So you notice this drone came down a bit early to see, because Zest has sometimes been sending one of the first probes across the map, and even a 16 hatch like this is not fast enough to get down. You need to go 15 hatch to beat it. So the drone went out front. So if he saw the probe come in, Serral would have just gone to the third base and taken the hatch. Now, I'm a big fan of, instead of doing that, just taking the 15 hatch. If you know your opponent has that tendency, just be like, nah, let's just go 15 hatch. It's a little bit less efficient. I'd rather go 16 hatch, of course. But you know what? Let's just delay a drone. Make sure we get the hatchery down. And the fact that they've sent a probe across the map that early will cost them quite dearly. In this case, though, Zest skipping scout entirely up to now. It's going to be gate, gas, nexus into cybercore. And we'll see. I think he'll scout post cybercore for just a Zerg third base, I would imagine. Oh, no. Oh, he's proxy. Okay, yeah. Proxy Stargate. So, this is something, I mean, even in the beginning of Legacy, Zest really enjoyed a Proxy Stargate. Proxy Stargate much better. I think he actually went gas before Gateway even, right? Not 100% sure. I didn't actually check. But either way, by cutting out that probe scout, you can notice there's just an extra probe mining this whole early game on gas. And now, is going to be able to, as soon as that cybercore finish, immediate Stargate, Chrono and Adept or two across the map to start the action, and then dive an Oracle in. So, Adept gets Chronoed, Stargate goes down. Overlord for Serral is like, alright, looks like a Stargate build because you don't have Warp Gate spinning just yet. Warp Gate starts up now. We'll see another Adept queue up with the next 25 gas as 100 minerals gets hit. And then go from there. It's actually going to go Stalker after that. Okay. Now, because Serral had a tendency to not go Overlord speed against Protoss in this tournament, the Stalker is a really good investment to kind of make sure the Overlord can't see everything. And that way, it just kind of keeps your opponent in the dark a little bit. Now, notice also the Adept rallied back. Zest is saying, I need to make 100% sure you can't get in to see what's happening. So, Serral does try to poke in with his Zergling, but is going to get shut down there. So, Serral doesn't really have any info. It's just kind of chilling, building queens. A ridiculously fast Oracle is, of course, being chrono boosted, rallied straight into that main base. So if you knew this was happening as Serral, you'd want a Spore Crawler already starting by about 3 minutes and 5 seconds against Proxy Stargate in the main base. And you'd just try to make sure your queens are positioned up there. Your Overlords would be pressing into this area. You'll notice Serral doesn't have vision in this middle area. So he might not see the Oracle until very late. That's going to be rough for him. This Overlord up here is kind of veered around the backside to make sure he can check these gases, which is good at about 4:45, 4:30. You can go, oh, is there an all-in coming? But look at that. Oracle flies into the main. He's going to try and stack the drones on top of each other, so it's hard for the Oracle to focus fire. And actually only loses 2 drones. Pretty good defense for Serral. That could have gone a lot worse, that's for sure. And only 1 Oracle. Now, Serral immediately is like, okay, let's shut that down before any more Stargate units get built. And he should find it. There we go. Okay, so those Lings will depower that. And it was actually only a single Oracle straight into Twilight and 4 gateways. So it's going to be Glaive Adept follow-up very quickly. The Oracle, yeah, kind of minimal investment. You'll notice, though, no Spore there. No Spore in the natural. If that Oracle went a bit YOLO and dived down... Oh, there was 1 queen. Okay, there was 1 queen there. So 4 queens, no 5th queen in the way. Roachmoran is down as well. Serral, he's going to need to check those gases, and upon seeing that those gases aren't down, he sees a third base. So that means it's not like non-stop Adepts building right now, but it could just mean that he's kind of like a bit too focused on the economy game and a bit caught off by that when it does come in. Oracle is still just posturing around, being a bit of a cheeky dickhead, and Zest blocks a 15 hatch as well. Not on this map. Rogue specifically went 15 hatch on this map and got it down in time. Depends on the map, Bullia. Unless Zest fucked something up that game. I could be wrong. I'd need to double check. Maybe a 15 hatch does get blocked on World of Sleepers as well. Whoa. Okay. There we go. Get some damage done on the Oracle. no real damage taken here for Serral. He's going for that Nidus Worm. So it's going to be a Roach Queen Nidus or 50 workers. Is this just three? Three gas geysers. Okay. Now, of course, he's not bothering with roach speed. He doesn't have enough money to afford that. He's saying, hey, I'm teleporting into your base. I don't really need those roaches to be able to move that quickly. Unfortunately for him, he isn't really ready. I'd love to see the drones just evacuate and go back to turtling on 2 base. I think the drones are a little exposed. Roaches are out front now. Want to see some transfuses. One roach already going down. This queen, she's going to go down real quickly as well. Oh, transfuse does land. Second transfuse as well. And we're going to see a cancel on the shade. Those drones a little slow to get out of there. 4 adepts have gone down. Now the Lings are doing some nice damage on the other side of the map though, but these adepts here still causing some problems right now. And of course the first Nidus Worm did get killed by the Oracle, but the Oracle's now out of energy. Third base is exposed. We've got 2 robos building behind it, so Zest is just going to be kind of trying to get Mass Immortal out. He knows the third base will go down, but if he can build up enough units and if he can do some more drone damage, that'd be great. This is a good cleanup here though by Serral. Single drone in the main, drone surround, we'll take it out. Looks like, oh, bit of missed focus fire. Doesn't even get a single extra worker there. At the same time though, third base is down, queens are out. Now notice we've got droning behind this. So Serral having taken out the third is like, okay, I fucked your build up, but you also damaged me and slowed me down from getting across the map. So I'm probably not going to be able to break through. And yeah, was that 3 sentries? There's a stalker patrolling up there. It's just going to use warpins to deal with Nidus Worm in the main. So Serral's going to try to kill the gateways. You can of course use the range of the Ravagers. Your opponent can't attack into your concave. You've got to be a little careful. You don't want to lose all your queens. They're great meat sacks of units in a pitched battle, but they're not very maneuverable. So Ravagers here, filing down the gateways, but also the force field. 1 queen up front does go down. Transfuses go down on her, but she takes a bit too much damage. Another Immortal is on the way here. Shield battery's finishing up. Serral looking for more damage. He's droning a little behind this, but it's just trickle of drones right now. A few Overlords are on the way. That Oracle is just chilling on the high ground. 55 drones versus 51 probes. I still think there's a completely fine transition out of this for Serral, but he wants to get the sentries. Good force fields, trapping a bunch of these units though. And yeah, it's like with the shield batteries here, there's still a full energy shield battery and soon to be up to 4 Immortals. Do you see that? That Immortal just squeezed itself out into the open. Oh no, Zest! Oh, that's unfortunate. It loses an Immortal there. The Ling's holding it in place, but I think we might be going a bit too deep. Takes out 2 sentries. Thankfully, no force field energy to trap. And Serral realizing this creep spread here is like, yeah, I'm going to keep picking off those sentries, mate. 1,000 minerals behind this. Serral missed macroing a little bit here. Of course, he brought all of his queens across the maps. That's kind of the reason. Took him a little while to replace those. I'd love to see a 4th hatch up as soon as possible, just for the production. When you've got this much minerals, you desperately do need a 4th. He's going to take that one. He hasn't started mining down the minerals, so he can't really defend it just yet. Of course, can still threaten Nidus Worms in the main. And still being annoying here, just trying to kind of threaten with the biles. Zest going to go for the wide open third base on the low ground. Forge is on the way, charge. Sentries, stalkers warping in. So a bunch of stalkers coming in just to add a bit more range damage. I think that's a waste of gas at this point. I really would love to see a quicker rush into the Templar Archives. I think there's a potential +1 Archon Immortal attack you could do that would be very deadly. I don't think stalkers are really adding anything to your army, because when you've got double Robo Immortal production, it's just better to build an extra Immortal. Okay, Roaches and Ling's going to come in here. These Stalker Warpins not going to do too well. Serral finding some big damage at the same time, finding probes out in the third base. A few of them do escape, only 3 going down for now. He's told his units to hold position there just so that they automatically focus on these probes. You can see bit of miscontrol from Serral. He's focusing on the front where he does cancel the third, gets 7 worker kills, well worth it. And now I'd say he's in a bit of a monster mode position. +1 melee on the way, Bane speed on the way, Roach speed on the way. His 4th base is going to be finishing in the near future. 1 drone very slowly opening up that path. Good creep spread starting to spread across the map. Got to be real careful because he really is, you know, he's committed to a lot of economy and upgrades right now, and he's got to make sure that he gets enough Ravagers and Banelings home. Banelings, of course, just for safety here. You could argue this is a bit of a preemptive morph, but I actually think it's very important. You know Zest can't really take a third up here. He's got to take this shitty third in the low ground. You're still able to threaten Nidus Worms constantly. There's a good chance he does a big old push forwards. And having the Banelings there just ready to threaten, to force a lot of force fields out on the edge of creep, always very useful. Whereas if you're making Banelings and Ravagers at the last minute, Zest has a chance to move forward and like take this ramp or something like that. As it is, Serral's going to come in, looking for the deny on this base once again. We've got about 8 seconds until Bane Speed's ready. How good are the force fields? The Banelings and the Lings trying to push back those Immortals and Sentries. A couple of good force field zoning, but look at that. The third Nexus very low. Serral just says, hey, come out into the open. You got to defend your Nexus. Come out into the open. Bane Speed kicks in. Serral forcing his way forward. He's going to try to break down those force fields. And Zest here trying to pull back, but the Roaches and the Ravagers are on top. And looks like Zest is done. Serral there with a nice Nidus Worm. And yeah, ends up okay. So let's go back to the very start. Was it gas before gateway? I don't think you need it, honestly, for a proxy gate, but let's just proxy Stargate. Because if you go gas first, it's going to delay your cyber core. But let's take a look. Gas or gate? It is gas. Okay, it does go gas first. I wonder if you can... Well, I wonder what actually hits first with the first Oracle. Like, this might just make the build a little smoother. Like, your warp gate starts a bit faster, as does the second Adept. But we'd kind of have to see how it goes. Because I kind of feel you could get that gas later and you could still get the Oracle down in time. It's just your warp gate would be awkwardly delayed. And even things like Ling Flood could kill you. Like your first Oracle flies in and you're like, haha, killed 7 workers. And then like a Ling Flood just can't be stopped. Unless you have like super perfect wall-offs. Okay. So first Oracle only getting 2 drones. This is clearly a pivotal moment in this game, right? So we're watching from Serral's camera. He had no idea this was coming. Starts layering. He's like, oh, whoa, what's that? Okay, shit, it's Proxy Stargate. I mean, just hats off to him for stacking them really well, but... I think with how early it is, I feel like it's got to have been worth it to stay there and go around the right-hand side and try to pick off 4 or 5 drones in total. I think 2 is just kind of shit, right? So let's also look at Zest's camera. Was he distracted by something? What's going on here? It's like, all right, let's go. Bam. Bam. Oh, he got distracted by a Zergling in the wall. Yeah. I think that was like a bit of a panic jump back to his wall in, to be honest. I feel like he should have stayed there for sure. So this is really, really crucial because every drone matters this early on, right? So if we look at this, I really think Zest should have been staying in there. Should have gone, okay, bam, bam. Yeah, he even queued it. He literally just queued it. He said, kill drone, run away. And then went back to macroing. Bounced back, looked at the Oracle, didn't change the orders, and then just went back to macroing. So it's like he was very happy just to have only 2 kills. What do you guys think? I feel like this is kind of silly. Did Pig say anything about the Reddit drama? What Reddit drama? The Zerg OP debate? Well, I mean, I think like Nidus Swarm Host might be something that we could just get rid of potentially. But otherwise, I really want to see like a few very small nerfs for Zerg. I feel like that would be nice. But I'm gonna actually spend some time over the next few days having a deep think about it and talking to some other people who know all about StarCraft and figuring it out, guys. But you know, I think everyone was complaining about balance in many different matchups this tournament. So yeah, maybe we'd like more of a shake-up balance-wise. We'll see. But yeah, so overall there, I mean, not bad play from Zest, but you know, you lose the Stargate after that, and the Glaive Adepts did some damage, but stopping at 50 drones and massing Roaches already in preparation for his own Nidus Worm, it felt like Zest didn't quite get enough done with his Adepts. Even if he just kept the Adepts alive a bit longer and kept threatening, and maybe joined the Oracle up with them a little bit better, it would have been nice. So maybe if he actually didn't use the Oracle to stop the Nidus Worm at home, but instead just like was like, fuck it, go for the drones, join up with the Adept, that might have actually been the better way of playing it out. Anyway, let's go map 2. Let's not waste any time. I don't think there was anything too crazy exciting in that one, and we'll see how it goes. All right, map 2. Serral. So Serral takes game 1 there. It's a good build order. Apparently he said this was a kind of fun dumb build that he copied from a laser at the last BlizzCon and just kind of put it into action. So we'll see exactly how the rest of this series goes. And Serral does something very smart this game, but yeah, this map's quite short, guys. So this here, I'm gonna rewind real quick, guys. check this. He cancels that probe, goes back to 13, puts the pylon down, and then starts it up. So this is a 13 pylon. So I believe this would even get over there before 15 hatch could go down. That's there so fast. Oh my god. I think 15 hatch can go down at like 43 seconds. I'm not sure. But Serral here coming down for a 16 hatch, sees the probe, and just is like, okay, nope, I'm going to go take my third. So 17 hatch on the third. Now, I'd like to see the gas earlier than normal to help you protect that. Let's see what he does. Serral, no, he's not going to do that. Yeah, he's just going to go more of a normal, like 18 gas, 17 pool. Okay. So, obviously, he's confident with his ability to defend with, like, queens and just slow zerglings and stuff. Zest here, happy to just kind of chill. The probe here being a bit of a dickhead, occupying these mineral patches as much as possible. Yeah, on Triton, Zest would often just send one of his very first probes straight to the enemy natural across the map, and then would have to send a second probe down to build the pylon on the low ground. So Zest here really prioritizing fucking up his opponent's opening and trying to get that hatchery built on a different base. And, I mean, on this map, same with Simulacrum, this is fucking awkward. Look at how far away that is. Part of me wonders if you just want to go, like, 15 pool and do 6 Zergling pressure against him or something, try and damage him, or, you know, or go like 16 gas, 16 pool, 17 gas, 17 pool, and then, you know, you've got such a fast ling speed. Maybe you don't mind having your third down there. I don't know. The real threat is this third is just so separated from that main. It's so far away, and against Glaive Adepts, it's just it's out there, man. It's really out there. So you can shut down Glaive Adepts pretty hard with Banelings and enough Zerglings and Queens, because you've got more mobility with it, but it's a much bigger commitment and it's much more fragile to any sort of charged Archon timing. Any sort of 7 or 8 gate Adept all in, one where it isn't just, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 gate Adept pressure, but one that's like actually just like endless Adepts warping in off a Warp Prism. Those are all problem build orders if you end up going for Ling Bane. So I do still think Roaches are the right answer. And I think it's all about just trying to get a good read on your opponent. Now, because Serral here, you're going to... Whoa, what did I just... Sorry, guys, I just went back 10 seconds. My bad. My hotkey is a derpy. I normally remove that hotkey, but, sorry. Move my keyboard over to my observing position so it won't happen again. All right, so he's got a second Overlord in position. Sees a gateway here. It's a Robo in the main. 2 on each gas. So it's the Glaive Adept build. The Zerglings are going to pressure the front here, which is a nice move. I think this is well worth it. You can notice he was kind of microing the Zerglings to get 2 attacking at a time, forces a pylon wall off, and then just says, okay, I'll back off. I know there's an Adept that's going to pop out. We should leave. So I think that's a really good pick off, getting the Stalker. I think he should send the Overlord straight through after that, though, to take advantage of it. Okay, he's going to send that Overlord through. Now, behind this, it's so important to drone like a motherfucker. A motherfucker? What the fuck? It needs an Overlord right now. You can't hit a supply block. So one of the big things I noticed in this series when I was casting live is Serral's a little bit more supply blocked than he normally is. I think this Overlord's fine because he was building a Roach Warren and a second gas. This all costs him a lot of money. He wants to get those Roaches out real early. You could argue this Roach Warren's actually a little bit earlier than it needs to be with this specific Glaive Adept timing where they get the Prism and 4 gateways as well. But we'll have to see exactly how it goes. So right now, 34 drones. I mean, it's just such a low worker count. Only 2 gases, which I kind of like because you know there's a good chance you have to run drones from this base, which means you'll lose the gas mining if they're here. So you really want to prioritize getting that fast second gas up in the main, and then you can play more of like just a 2 gas, get the Roaches out, be safe. But only 36 drones. It's a very low economy, and you can see Serral here. He wants to wall off, which is, it's kind of cool that he's built a bit of a wall here. But first of all, he wants to move Queens into his main. Okay, so he's saying, oh, I gotta stop that Prism flying into the main base. It's a little awkward. I actually would much prefer the Queens be on the outside to shoot that Prism. I think bringing all the Queens to the inside kind of sucks. Obviously, that Spore Crawler can be moved so we can open up the door. He's only on 34 drones right now. Serral, he's gonna, as he loses Roaches, of course, the fact that he is supply blocked in quotation marks isn't as big of a deal. Adept here saving some low hit point Adepts, but it's not a terrible fight for Serral. He's down 4 workers, but you know what? There's nothing really going on here. I wouldn't mind those Lings actually attacking that Adept, especially if 2 of them can fit in at a time. But those Lings instead not going to be able to help out too much. That's a lot of Adepts, guys. That's a lot of Adepts. Serral here. Really, I mean, I think he's actually lucky those Adepts cancelled. I think they could have just killed 2 of those Roaches, moved into that mineral line, got 2 or 3 workers, and then shaded back to the 3rd. Right now, Serral, big supply block. The Lings are going to go in and try to force some warp-ins at home. But look at that quick Adept shade, which will keep the Adept alive. So that single Adept will defend his base. Roaches coming forward, but look at this area. It's so fucking annoying on this map. And the Adepts are just going to shade in and focus down the Spore Crawler, are they? Nope, there's a Transfuse ready on that Queen. That's not going to work. These drones need to run, I think. But the Adepts here getting chased down by the Roaches. It's locked in a really low economy situation. As awkward as this opening has been for Serral, I think he's actually defended about as well as he probably could have. The Lings do end up clearing the pylon and getting in. That's a lot of Zerglings being lost, though, and overall, that's a good trade for Zest. Losing a pylon, I think the reason he lost it is because the Adept shaded too far back. Or maybe they ran back in as he cancelled the pylon, one or the other there. But either way, it's not really a great trade, losing 8 or 10 Zerglings. Now he can just walk over and take a 3rd base. So those Lings actually would have been better denying that 3rd, slowing it down. We've got Roach Speed +1 and more Queens on the way now for Serral. That's really important because right now he's impotent. These are slow Roaches. He can't really move around the map. He's just got to sit back with his flaccid Roach cock and hope that the Adepts climb on top of it. You know, he really can't force the Adepts to fight him at all. Spore Crawler does land. Transfuse, yeah. He's always ready with the Transfuse on the high ground on that Spore Crawler, so the Adepts won't be able to focus that to break the door in, which is cool. I was thinking, oh, maybe they can focus that and get in there, but it seems all right. Roach Speed's about 30 seconds away. There's another Evo chamber on the way. Oh, Serral! Serral, what the fuck? Oh, that's a big mistake. That should not have happened. He's been so good on it this whole time, and now suddenly all of his drones get caught. Look at that good focus fire by Zest. Shift clicks a few of those workers. 9 go down. Adepts are in the back of the natural. And a quick recall, realizing the drones had been pulled. Big disruption there to Serral that never should have been able to happen. Behind this, Blink's on the way. Immortals are building. 4 sentries are up. So it's going to be into that Blink style. Now, Serral, I think, was in a pretty nice position. Now it's a little bit more awkward. We do see this Prism as well. Posturing, being a bit of a dickhead. Queen's on the edge. Queen there as well. These Roaches need to get in that mineral line. Oh, this is uncharacteristic mistake here from Serral. He's got to get those drones out of there. He's going to lose 2 or 3 workers. And the Adepts just leave. Oh, you can't be letting this happen. Serral really should have a worker lead by this point. He's going into the Baneling Nest now as well. You can see his main's a bit oversaturated. There's idle workers hanging out. Serral, I mean, this is always an uncomfortable position to be in. We're used to Serral being so good at rolling with the punches. But, I mean, it's just the Adepts forcing him into this weird wall-off situation, trying to play PvP and ZVP, sitting on a very immobile composition where Zest was the one who got to really push and pull Serral around the map the entire time. Finally, does get rid of that Observer. We've got a push coming across. It's not that big an army. And he's got a ton of Roaches with Roach Speed and +1. Melee starting now, +2 range. I like that. A bunch of Ravages to deal with the sentries is going to be huge. Changelings see the army is here. 4th base is on the way. And that's something Serral tends to struggle with defending against any Blink style. Whether he's playing Trap, Zest, any of the Koreans, keeping that 4th alive seems to be something he really struggles with. But I do like the fact that he backstabs, and I'd like to see Banelings morph, because there are Adepts and an Immortal there. They're going to be able to keep that safe. For now, it does set up a lovely concave. Ling's going to come in. They see Adepts. Bane Speed's not going to be ready in time for this, yet nonetheless, what is it, a cannon? They just get into this area. They can kill a lot of workers. Behind this, Lings, Banes being mass-produced. The 4th base is up. The Prism once again rotating down the south side, and that Overlord is a bit out of position. It should be here, and there should be one down there. Serral does not have the edges correctly there. Finally, this Overlord moving down, he's realized, oh, wait a second, holy shit, that Prism's there. But there's drones there in the open. Baneling's thinking about rolling in. Serral says, no. Come on, mate. Baneling speed's done in 15 seconds. Let's wait for that. Zest is adding Psystorm, so he's going charge, Blink, Stalker, Immortal, Psystorm. It's a super fucking weird army. It can work quite well, though. Alright, so Prism Adept just denies a bit of mining time. Main army is just trying to I would say posture, but he's actually going quite all in now. Serral here really committing to this attack. His +1 melee will be finished in just a few seconds. Storm's not quite ready. It's almost there, though, and there's a lot of High Templar up there. Banelings crash in and get 9 workers. These Banelings, oh, he accidentally pulled them back. He could have got some of the High Templar there. More Banelings coming forward. Will he find the High Templar? The shield battery is actually doing magic for Serral right now. A few Stalkers do accidentally get move commanded into the Roach Ravager. Those Stalkers on the left doing a very good job, though. More Storms landing. And keeps the Immortals alive, keeps the Stalkers alive. An overextension from Serral. He's got to get these Ravagers out of here. Does have a 4th base up. He's up 10 workers. It's not the end of the world just yet. He's building 3 more. Is adding +2, +1 Carapace. Looks like we're going to be playing Lair Tech for life here as Serral, who's making more Banelings, getting ready to roll them in. I would actually be escalating at this point. He's seen a ton of cannons and batteries. He should be going for at least 12 or 14 Banelings. I don't... like, 10 might do big damage. There's a good chance this just doesn't cut it. And indeed, a Blinkstalker is actually going to find it. So hopefully Serral does pull back here. He does? Yep. Cool, cool, cool. All right, that Prism is actually scouting. I love the defensive Prism Scout, seeing if there's more Ravagers and Banes. A nice Force Field Trap over there. Zest is on +1. He's actually getting a quick armor upgrade, which I really like for Zealot run-bys whenever they're fighting Lings, and it's not bad for Stalkers as well. Bit surprising he didn't get +2 attack straight away, though. Infestation Pit is now starting up for Serral, who's trickled drones out onto this 4th base. Of course, a lot of the drones there are just transferred from the main. The natural and the 3rd, nicely saturated. No 5th base just yet. The creep spread, not really so good for Serral. He's got a big Ling Bane counterattack on the north. His Baneling count is quite low as we stand, though. And, oh, big Zealot backstab. So, okay, Serral needs... He has no idea. So, the problem is Serral's map control is not that great. If he doesn't get Banelings into the center of those Zealots, they might just do a big amount of damage. Just a few Roaches is not going to cut it. Ling Bane, though, posturing over to the other side of the map, looking like they could roll in there. I still favor Serral in this scenario because that 4th base is just started and he's just got the upgrade advantage. Ravager Bane is so good. As the creep spreads further out, he gets a lot more flexibility. Should be able to cancel that base. Serral a little bit slow to jump on it, but he does get it. That should be, yeah. He doesn't have +2 melee yet, but does manage to get it. Baneling's rolling in. Oh, good quick pull, man. Doesn't really get anything. Takes out a couple cannons. Not worth, not worth. Great defense there. Of course, this snipe was well worth it, but on the top side, doesn't really get it. I wouldn't, yeah, I mean, you can, if you go again, I think you got to wait for like a lot of Banes. I would actually, and you got to send some to the south to cut off the probe retreat. If you can go this way with like 8 and down here with 4 or 5 at the same time, it'll be okay. As it is, opens down the rocks. Good move there by Serral. I mean, with this army, he shouldn't be breakable. It's just he's got to spread his Banes out. And like I said, deal with the Zealots. He's got to make sure his Banes don't all headbutt through the High Templar. The reason this Stalker army is kind of nice for Protoss is they can poke in and out a little bit more. The Banelings! Oh, okay, do find 6 probes. Not terrible, but look at this. Good 2-prong push. Roaches and Queen, not enough to deal with that. Serral's going to have to send all of his units down. He's going to lose his 5th base, almost certainly. Quick drone pull there. 74 drones to 57 probes. Okay, so he's split off a big force of Ravagerling Bane. 5th base gets sniped, doesn't get the cancel down in time. Hive and Great Aspire are on the way. Broodlords are about 2 minutes out, 2.5 minutes. For now, Zest is still okay. He's still got a chance of doing this, but I think it's really got to be about just baiting those Banelings into a big clump of units. Clearing the creep is going to be very important. You don't want to be fighting on creep here as Zest. At the same time, Serral's setting up a bit of a flank, but I think he's got to keep it in his pants a little bit longer. Oh, a bad fight on the left-hand side. And those Zealots are just going to rout that entire army. Banelings come forward. Ooh, lots of Banelings detonated on only one Archon. More Banes come in the right-hand side. He goes for a big old headbutt, does Serral. And I think he was a little bit too wasteful. As I said, he chased off creep, and there was a nice kind of retreating, layered storms from Zest. Actually cleaned him up quite well. Banelings are going to have to clean up these Zealots, but suddenly, more and more Zealots coming across the map. You don't have enough Banelings. You've lost your core of Roaches and Ravagers here. You've lost your core of Zerglings, and a situation where Serral just needed to be patient, but it's that ability for this weird kind of blink stalkery Storm Archon Immortal army to bait Zergs into taking bad fights. I mean, that's the sort of fight I've seen so many Zerg players take into it, where they just get a little overeager. We don't normally see Serral make those mistakes, and that's a little bit of a poopy butthole for Serral, who's now just getting overwhelmed by the dregs of the Protoss army. It's still super close, but one more Zealot warp in comes in. If these Immortals survive, then he's definitely toast. I mean, he's just rallying a few Zerglings. Yeah, he's out of money. Ooh, bad fight. Real bad fight there for Serral. That was an awful engagement. There was no need for him to pull the trigger there. I think he started just kind of be like, oh, I got a big army, like surely I got to fight. So this was a disaster. But look at this. The Stalkers and their ability to poke. I feel like part of why I wanted to look at these games, guys, is I wanted to talk a bit about Blink Stalkers as a core unit against Zerg. Now, Protoss players argue that basically once your opponent gets enough Roaches and Ravages, Zealots don't do anything. They just kind of get one-shotted down. So you got to come in a clump. And if they come in a clump, Banelings just destroy them. And because of that, Zealots don't really serve much of a function in your main army. You end up in this awkward situation where all you can do is build more Immortals, more Archons, more High Templar. You can't just warp in a bunch of units on the front. And things end up really fucking awkward because of that. You know, you can't poke and pull. Whereas if you get Stalkers, you can poke forward. And if your opponent's like, say your opponent's up here, you can poke forward and then spread your Stalkers out. They're armored units. They don't take bonus to Banelings. And you can micro them in concaves and abuse choke points. You can use them with force fields really well. I think the problem still stands that the Stalker is basically it's a trash bag dressed up in a fancy dress, in that its damage output sucks balls. So, you know, I don't care how much lipstick you put on the Stalker, how well you use force fields and storms with it. I think realistically, what we're looking at in this meta is you're looking at a unit that if you're very skillful with it, you can piss off your opponent. You can pick away at them. You can be very, very annoying. And that often leads to the Zerg doing a dum-dum. But I do think the hard counter to this style is the Zerg not doing a dum-dum and taking careful engagements. They've got to just be a bit more careful with the engage-disengage dance. And this is something I think Zergs are so used to playing against, this less mobile, less flexible, kind of chunky little, just a fucking bog of Immortals and Archons and High Templar. Where against that, it's much easier to just kind of go, cool, I'm surrounding you, let's fucking go. And it's like, yeah, if this whole army of Zest was here, that's totally right. But it's actually all up here. It's actually quite far back. It's actually quite pre-spread. These Stalkers are the front. They can blink back. They can reposition. They can go further and be more annoying and try to bait the Zerg into a bad engagement. I mean, especially when you've got Broodlords will be coming out soon. Especially when your army is mostly Banelings. 50 Banelings, right? It's one of these things. It's like, dude, come to me. If he comes in a big ball and you flank him and surround him, that's great. But Serral needed these units to really be coming from up here and around there and around there. Because watch what happens. All these Banes just clump up too much, right? Stalker's like, oh shit. And you see Zest. He's like, everything run. And it's too much of a one-directional engagement. Everything's going to start funneling. I don't know. Some of these units might go around the top side. You can see an attack move there. Looks like they will, but... So look at all these Banes. A lot of these ones on the right-hand side would all be dead if it wasn't for that upgrade, by the way. Another storm goes down there and immediately ticks the Banelings over. They hit an Archon. Some of them hit another Archon. They don't hit that much. The Lingbane really clumps up around these Stalkers, which Zest probably should have blinked back a little bit quicker. But he's focusing on his storms. And then these Banelings, like, they get close to getting into the juicy center, and they do take some of the units out. But I don't think it was quite the engagement you want there as Serral. Like, this was not that big an army from Zest. I really think, like, he needed to kill everything there. Because he's just invested a fuck ton of Banes. Like, that was just a really inefficient fight. And the thing is, if you use Ravager Baneling just right, you can be cost efficient against Protoss. Yeah, you can. It's not that common, don't get me wrong. Obviously, it would have been better if Serral had a better economy, if he didn't leave his door open and leave those Adepts in. But, yeah, look at these, like, Zealot spread just coming in from multiple angles and shit. And Zest not giving him the clump of Zealots that the Banelings really want to engage into. And the Archon's doing so well versus the Zerglings. Nice fight. Nice fight from Zest. Yeah, a few uncharacteristic errors. Serral let the Warp Prism come back in and kill a few drones on 2 separate occasions. Serral also left his door down at, I think, 9 minutes. 8 minutes, maybe? What was that? Probably 7. And this was such a non-Serral move, you know. Serral's the guy who's under crazy pressure and just makes no mistakes a lot of the time, or very few mistakes. And... I mean, he was doing it, and he was finally building himself a lead, and then we just saw Zest was like, oh, we'll just, like, faint. Right, okay, it must be the next one. Yeah, and then Serral, he unburrows his Spore, and then, like, another Shade comes in, and Serral's just like, oh, there's a Prism. And he's like, cool, gotta make sure we shut down the Prism. He just forgot his door was open. Oh! And that was a lot of damage that went down there as well. Yeah, I think Serral should have been fine there. I think he needed to get more of a 360 surround if he was going to use the Banes. get a bit more of just come in from all sides and really, really crush that army. So a bit of an uncharacteristic couple of mistakes there. Zest ties up the series 1-1. Is there a Hydrabane roach style? No, there's no reason to build roaches if you're doing that. You can open up with some roaches just for safety and then play Hydrabane, but you're not going to keep building those units. Yeah. So I guess I'll turn that off so we stop spoilering it at the very start of the game for those of you who already saw. Obviously, this is kind of breaking things down, but it is also a cast for those YouTube casuals who didn't watch the tournament live. Obviously, I had a great time casting this tournament live. I didn't cast this series, but I was watching it. This time around, you're going to see Zest just going for a gate scout. And Serral going down for that 16 hatch. And is like, all right, let's make sure we get that hatch down. 16 hatch is what he actually prefers to do normally anyway. Because that hatch finishes a little bit faster than I still do the old school 17 hatch. He can build both queens at the same time. And then from the very beginning, his injects are synced up, which allows your macro to be very rhythmic. Allows your injects to be inject, build units, inject, build units from the very start of the game, where I normally don't sync up on that exactly until after the second or third inject. And obviously that means one of them is just waiting and being a bit inefficient. Now this was cool. I remember this. Okay, so Serral's like, whoa, what are you doing, buddy? I'm going to pull one drone. So Serral here, big confidence in holding off cannon rushes, was like, yeah, I don't need to pull too much. And he started sending the drone to the low ground. And he was like, you know what? If you're going to go for it, the drone's not going to get there in time to block that. We'll just stay on the high ground. We just make sure you can't build cannons up here too easily. But just 2 drones, mad respect. Zest lets the pylon finish, which I know people are like, whoa, that's crazy. He's just trying to get Serral to pull more drones. Because you're like, oh, you would never let the pylon finish. Right? And most players would pull a few more drones there just because they'd be freaked out. And this is something Zest did a lot in this series. So mad props to Zest. He did a lot of inefficient things that really made Serral be like, what the fuck is this? And it definitely leads to some of his wins in this series. You can look at this and be like, oh, Serral wins out in this scenario. Just pulled 2 drones for like 20 seconds and then just went back to chill. That's probably better for Serral by just a little bit, but it's not that big a cost. You got 2 drones off the line for a while. Yeah, you lose a pylon, but you know what? That's fine. He's got to bring his queens over to actually kill it. These Zerglings still have their function in the early game, right? 2 of them clear the third base, 2 go across the map to try to bypass and get in to scout what's going on. And we also saw some interesting Stargate locations where it wasn't always easily scoutable here for Serral. Now, these 2 Lings have taken a long time. They accidentally turned around to chase the probe, and I don't think that was a good idea. I think he wants to get these across the map as quickly as possible. And without a depth coming out, these Lings need to go right. They need to veer right. This is... He could be deeper here, though. Like, he does veer right, but... I don't know, man. I feel like he could be running Lings in right now for a scout, I guess. Okay, the Adept did cancel its shade. Never mind. Never mind. So personally, this is why my Overlord, I like to skirt the edge of the main and be like about here. So if I see, oh, okay, he's just denying my scout, then the Overlord will fly through. Serral is thinking about sacrificing this, but he's looking. He's like, what's going to pop out of that gateway, dude? He sees the story. He's, oh, okay, back to the high ground. Back to the high ground. Get to safety. But he's going to take some damage. He doesn't really know what this is. Does he build a safety spore in the main right now? I mean, the Lings can usually spot the Oracle coming, right? I like that he knows there could be a flying unit coming to spot him. So he's already gone off the high ground and to the back so he can check the gases. He's so consistent with that. Extra Overlord here. And look at this. He's like, okay, what are you doing, buddy? Now, there's still no spore, which tells me Serral actually didn't notice the Oracle till now. Or he's just reliant on the queens. Oh. Oh, I love you, Serral. Oh my god. This is like what True does sometimes. Sees the second Oracle. Spore, 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 spore right now, buddy. You've already been very late on these spores, which is great. It's allowed you to pump out a lot of drones. You built a few extra queens to make up for it. Serral really should be building a lot more drones. He's built a few more Zerglings than normal this game. And he comes in, he sees the 2 Oracles, and he's like, okay, all right. I can't really snipe that probe. Can't really deny the third. And we need to see tons of drones. The counter to Stargate play in general is building a lot of workers. He now sees a 3rd Oracle coming. So these queens need to be in position, hugging spore crawlers. One queen there. He's going to go 3 queens down here at the third base. Yeah, it's probably a good choice. He's got to be careful, though. These drones out in the open, that's a little dangerous. All right, sees him coming. Queens all rotating. Every single queen is on duty. Non-stop drones in production here for Serral. Robo and Twilight behind it, which is very typical for like an Archon drop follow-up, or simply just for like, I'm going to build Immortals and go Storm and you know, potentially do an Immortal Sentry push. So we might see some Sentries warp in. I wouldn't mind those 2 Adepts sliding their way across the map, clear up some of the Lings, and get in position to shade into one of these bases a little later. But you can tell Zest here, it feels like he's really worried about his third getting kind of busted and taken down. And there is a Nidus Worm on the way. These Oracles haven't really done anything just yet. Oof. Oracle's going to come forward. Fake Gas. Serral drops the Fake Gas in vision. And the Nidus Worm gets spotted though. Uh-oh. Now how much energy do you commit here? Oh, he's going to lose an Oracle. Oh, Zest loses an Oracle and drops a Revelation as well. Oof. Okay, that means he's very short on energy. One of these Oracles, only 42 energy. The other one does have 70. Normally your Oracles are like the best beginnings to a defense against a Nidus build because you can shut down the first couple of Nidus Worms. And remember, with the new Nidus Worm, it's got a 14-second cooldown. So each time you kill it, it doesn't speed up the ability to cast a new one like it used to be. So the Oracles are like watching the middle of the map, and then that Nidus Worm gets up straight away. I feel like Zest, if he delayed this just another 30 seconds, another 20 seconds, this would have really helped. Now, nothing in the main base. The Oracles are going to have to kill that. He turned on his laser beams very early, and they are going to kill the Nidus Worm up in the main. They should take it out before too much happens, but big fight down here. Immortals, Batteries, Sentries, Stalkers. Stalkers, the best unit to warp in here, because you can really use your range to fight those queens without going in and getting surrounded by the rest of the units. And you can use those force fields to maximum effect. Takes a bit of damage there. I mean, it's a nice little surround with the Zerglings, but does pull back. Only 1 Sentry falls. Second Nidus Worm going up in the main. Shield Batteries trying to build there. More Immortals on the way. This is a good defense for Zest so far. No droning behind this. Just Roaches, Ravages, Lings, Queens. Okay, he's going to try to pop out in the main base. Lots of Zerglings in the main. Quick recall here from Zest, though. The Oracles are dead weights. They can't do shit right now. Queens. I'd love to see a Creep Tumor get dropped down. Yep, there it is. And Lings and Ravages are up here. And Serral's trying to get back in and does pop back in. Pops back out at the third. Says, hey, you recalled your army. Get wrecked. These Queens could take out the Oracles. One of the Oracles falls. Stalkers are taking damage here as well. Good micro, though, by Zest. Remember, there's actually not that many units. It's mostly just Zerglings. They do find the probes on the third base. But these are 3 Immortals. You got to run, Serral. These are valuable units. You don't want to lose them all. The Queens, of course, trapped off creep, are going to go down. Zerglings getting a nice little skirmish there. But the Zealots warp in. They do hold on. Another Nidus Worm in the main base. Will it be enough? Lings and Ravages run into the natural. Oh, bypassing the Stalkers. A lovely little run by. Can he land a big Bile? He does drop a Bile right there. Good mineral walk by Zest to escape. But already 9-10 workers going down. These Zerglings and this Ravager actually getting so much damage done here, even though things looked really shitty before. Good dodges by Zest. If he wasn't looking, one of those Biles could have done huge damage. But there we go. 15 workers go down. Chrono boosting probes like a madman is Zest right now. And there is a Spire on the way behind this. Only 50 workers for Serral. Floating a bit of minerals again. Remember, that's what happens when you bring all your queens across the map with a Nidus Worm. You know, maybe he should prioritize building extra backup queens ahead of time. Remember, guys, no roach speed here just yet. It's going to be finishing in about 7 or 8 seconds. Lings find the main mineral line, and oh my god, even more probes going down. Takes out a Stalker there as well. Those Lings just going to hang around and be annoying. And he's going to take out a couple more probes. Oh, disgusting. Roach speed's done, but Zest is ready here. He's got 2 Immortals. You got to leave, Serral. 5, 6 mutas on the way. 5 the magic counter, 1-shot probes. That way you don't care about shield batteries. Dance about, do maximum damage, kill a probe, move, and keep that up. No 4th hatchery down just yet. Serral, bit supply blocked on 114 supply. He's still posturing up here. I thought he would just leave. But Serral has large balls, and this is the power of a Nidus Worm, Roach Ravager, Zergling. Even though Zest's army is way better and he could just like push you back, he doesn't know that. And look at these... Oh, the fuckery with the creep tumors is truly beautiful. I'd love to see him spread there and there. And then if Zest's not watching, it gets out of control. So these creep tumors on the middle do get cleared up. There's more creep spreading there. Serral creating a lot of problems for his opponent. Remember, these give vision as well. So Serral just being a bit of a dirty Zerg player. Nice little stasis trap harass in the main. And of course, the single drone takes one for the team. Says, I'm going to go into cryo, guys. It's fine. I'll come back when when StarCraft 17 is out. The mutas are going to fly into the back of the natural. Mutas just getting massive damage. Oof. Ugh. So 6 mutas is always nice. This way, if you lose one, you've still got that magic count. There is a cannon at the 3rd, though, so just going to kind of run around there. That's still exposed. You could definitely come in and pick off a few more. Yeah. Of course, mutas have very quick regen as well. Big desperate push here for Zest. What is there to defend it, though? Not that much, man. That 4th hatch is going to go down. A lot of Immortals and Sentries. Ravagers, Zerglings, Banelings here. The mutas dancing around. Oh, he built more mutas, and he actually split them up. Holy shit. Serral actually had 2 different muta control groups there. One of them with all the mutas and one with just those separate mutas. He's hitting the mineral line with them. He's gone back into the main base at the same time, just trying to withdraw, wait for the force fields to run out. The main base has been overrun. The Stalkers cannot hold their own. Banelings find their way past the force fields that are now exhausted into the Immortals. And even with a few more Zealots warping in, we see those Immortals low on hit points. A lot more Zealots coming in. Trying to make this as close as he can. The Immortals actually dropping forward. Serral looking for a quick focus fire to punish those aggressive Immortal lifts from Zest. A single High Templar is like, oi, take my Psyblast. 5 damage. 5 damage. And it's kind of hilarious, but is doing something. It's not enough Zealots, though. Drones are forced off the line, but remember that there's no economy behind this. The mutas absolutely dicked him. Mutas are going to come back now. They're clicking on that prism. They say, let's focus the prism down. As long as we get rid of that, you can't warp in anymore, mate. And as the Immortals go down, the Roaches and the Ravagers become dominant. Mutas fly overhead. Zest does go down. So yet again, the meme build comes out here from Serral, which is very nice that it does work out. Great handling of a bad situation here by Zest. But I would once again argue that, I mean, I feel like with this situation, you kind of want to make sure this never gets up. And if those Oracles reacted a little bit quicker to shut down the initial Nidus Worm, this whole fight would have been delayed to the point where I think he would have been able to warp in a few Stalkers, or these Zealots could have been working on the Nidus, because these Oracles would have had more energy, right? I mean, the Revelation was not a bad move when he was on the other side of the map, but I still would rather have just saved that energy and kind of check what's going on. Let's go back to that Revelation. I think that was a bad choice by Zest. Yeah, so he revelates the army. He's like, all right, buddy, what are you doing? So, I mean, he sees the units load up. But I think if he stopped that Nidus Worm, man, like, I would basically have sent 1 Oracle to patrol from here to here, and 1 Oracle to patrol from, like, here to here, or something like that. I think that would have been super fucking nice, man. Yeah. Because even though he did such a good job, the moment he had to recall up here, Serral just does the very smart maneuver. And even though Serral's army is worse this entire time, if he would just sit still and fight, Zest would win the game. Serral's like, nope, pop back out at your 3rd. And this is where Zest starts to just get torn apart. Sentries start going down. It's like, fucking die, man. He's losing probes in the 3rd. This Nidus never should have got up, right? It does get shut down. But this is where the damage kicks in. Suddenly he's losing all these probes. And it's like, oh shit, what the fuck, man? And then like another Nidus goes up there. So he loses 15 probes there. He loses even more from this one. If he was able to clean this up just a little bit earlier, I think Zest shits all over this game. So I would say after that, you should lose a bit of confidence in that build. If you're Serral, I think you should realize that, like, wasn't looking too good at the start. Fantastic start to a hold, but good movement with the Nidus Worm. Serral does end up taking the 2-1 advantage. All right, guys, big thanks for all the support. I did turn off the sound effects, but big thank you, Vici, with the 14-month resub. It says, grease me up like the swine I am. No worries, mate. Bacon grease for everyone in this chat. And we also had Fionic with the 9-month resub. Welcome back. Thank you for carrying my baby to term, mate. Nemones with a 7-month resub says, woot. Ashes with the 7 months as well. Thank you very much for the support, guys. I really appreciate it. I do slap some moist bacon on the table, and thank you. Can you guys also, even if you're not able to support directly, guys, you can help me by thanking those who've been supporting today. Let's all slap some moist bacon on the table as a sign of respect and thanks. So please join Deep Apple. Slap some moist bacon down. Guys, we need more bacon than that. Come on. That was not a lot of moist bacon. We need a little more. Guys, Twitch chat. Slap your bacon down on the table. God damn. Oh my god, chat's so dead. Worst Twitch chat. Let's go to Serral's camera. Okay, there we go. Now we got some bacon coming down. And that is the lovely sound of moist bacon being slapped onto the desk. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. Those of you going above and beyond with supporting the stream recently, I do really appreciate it. I hope you guys also enjoy the very satisfying and not at all disturbing sound of that moist bacon. Thank you, Maru, for the 8-month resub. Wow, I've been playing for almost a year, hovering at 3K. Hey, glad to hear it, Maru. Good to see you still loving the game. It's awesome that we do have quite a few people in the community who've joined in the last year or two who really have only joined playing StarCraft in the last year or two as well. Cool to have you guys all hanging out. And to see people kind of like being like, oh man, I just got silver. Oh fuck yeah, I just got gold. And, you know, to see this steady progression of y'all and joining those people where, you know, a few years back, I remember there's a lot of people who came with free to play. There's a lot of people in chat who joined around that time who are now kind of plat, diamond, some in gold, you know, some all over the place. It's crazy people like Dr. Ryan, who was here just before, who's made it to GM. It's been taking maps off pro gamers and even series off pro gamers in those EPT comps. Really fucking cool to see. Some people who came back with Legacy of the Void as well after not playing in Heart of the Swarm for a while. So guys, we saw a nice block here on the natural, forcing the third hatch. What's a good way to take advantage of that? Let's get some Glaive Adepts. So Serral here is going Zergling speed reasonably quickly, droning 6 Zerglings. Now, 2 Zerglings have been sent back. 4 Zerglings going across the map, but now not going to go any deeper. Now, this Overlord thinking about scouting, this is actually something where you can see Zest is so adamant about denying scouting with the Adept guarding back here. So, you know, the whole idea is you rally the Adept back and you shade it out, and then you cancel the shade. So the Zerg's like not sure if he just lost track of the shade and it's coming across the map, or if you cancelled it and then the Zerglings try to run in and the Adept just shuts them down. So Serral's respecting that and just kind of going, okay, all right, buddy. Slight supply block on 36, but it is very minor, you can see. So not too bad. That Overlord does take some damage. Sees a second gateway in the wall, and once again, it's that Robo. You can see a worker pulled off each gas here for Zest. I'm going to review this build order after this game, guys. So when we rewind, can you guys remind me to just go over the details of this build quickly? I'll write it up in the Book of Filth. Even though it is not an all-in, but it is just a very nice build order. I'll just write it there as like a placeholder build. Okay, so Serral's scouting with Lings, and he still sees no Oracle or Phoenix. So he's like, okay, this is some sort of Twilight/Robo play. So Roach Warren and Lair go down immediately. Now remember, that's a 342 Roach Warren and Lair. This is not as quick as in his previous games where he knew from earlier on what was happening. Second gas goes down, no third gas yet. So I mean, he's going to be a little bit lower on gas, and especially with the fast Lair. Does cancel that Spore because he's like, oh, 100% there's no Oracles coming in. But that cost him a little bit of money as well. He's on 36 drones. He's building 5 more. So he's going on the greedier end here. He does need to start building just Overlords and then Roaches. More drones queuing up. This is way too greedy. Serral sees the Warp Prism coming. He's going to pull the Lings back. Spore Crawler starts. He thinks it might be DTs here. And I mean, that's not a bad thing to prepare for. But with the Lair already done, you can make an oversay. Where are the Roaches? He's building Zerglings right now. And Spore Crawlers at each base. He's worried about DTs, Adepts unload and warp in, and Serral realizes he's shat the bed. He just built Zerglings when he was meant to build Roaches. The Zerglings were already delayed, even if they had been the correct unit, which was the Roaches. The Adepts are on top of him. His Roaches haven't even popped, and there's 8 Adepts in his mineral line. Serral is fucked. He just did not play properly here. This is not him respecting the ability for Zest to hit a crisp timing. And don't get me wrong, it's a very crisp timing. This is not like a really loose and saggy build like Roddy would do. Roddy was very happy. He was telling me he really likes it after he beats me in games, and then he watches me analyze the replay and tells him how loose and late his Adepts hit. And he's very adamant about telling me that he has 10 more probes than these fucking pro gamers who hit their really fast Adept timings, and that's why his build's better. And I was like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it doesn't hit fast. That's all, man. And he's like, it was great. It was great. But yeah, this was bad. So basically, any crisp Adept timing, you need to have Roaches out and ready and at least 4 or 5 gathering at the front by about 4 minutes 40 is kind of the way you want to think about this, guys. Because any crisp adept timing can cause you trouble then. Technically, someone could chrono adepts really hard and be in your natural on a medium to small map like Ephemeron or Nightshade at 420. They could shade 5 or 6 adepts in here. Very fucking rare, and something where you can kind of defend that with Lings and Queens. It's also so out of the meta, it's so old, and it's such an inflexible build order, we almost never see it. So 440 is kind of the timing. We see roaches starting at 440. This is some sloppy shit from Serral. This is just sloppy as fuck. You don't even need to know what you're up against. You could be up against an Archon build, a DT warp in. Same thing. You're meant to have roaches out by this time. Like, if this was a DT build, he could have warped in 3 DTs at 4 minutes 15. And that's why this roach warren, which I said, oh, that's a little bit later than a normal roach warren. The whole point is, one way to think about this is, as your roach warren's halfway done, or 2/3 of the way done, you're building like, you're stopping at about 40 drones. 44 drones is pretty greedy. That's like the highest level of greed against something like this. Normally you want to stop at about 40 drones, or if you're forced to take this third base and your drones are all exposed, I would say 35, 36, 37, probably 38 drones would probably be the magic count in my head. Remember, Serral stopped at 36 drones on Nightshade. And that was a map where I think he should have won, right? After that. I think he defended really well. He made some mistakes in the follow-up. But this time around, he's like just holding down that drone key. And even though the Roach Warren's a little bit later, it's about 10, 15 seconds later than his Roach Warren was previously, it's like, okay, like you got enough gas to start 5, 6 roaches straight away. Cool. Wait. Why are we at 54 out of 58 supply? Okay, we've got an Overlord about to pop, 2 more drones, going to 42 drones. So that's a little bit greedy. And then building Lings. He's panicking. Starting a 3rd gas. He's making an extra queen right now, which is not bad to get a 4th queen. But I can tell you what, it's not a high damage unit. You need high damage units to actually kill the adepts. You could have as many queens as you want. The adepts will just ignore them and shift click all your drones down. This was a huge screw up from Serral. And this really can only be described as him shitting the bed. I don't think he really... I think he just got a bit confused with this prism timing. He thought, oh, it's a DT build. He put spores down. I don't know. He accidentally built Zerglings instead of roaches. I'm sure there's something where... Obviously, he tweeted after this series and was like, oh my god, this is the first time I've ever played a whole series without my brain turned on for the entire thing. And looked really bad. So let's quickly write out Zest's build order. In this game, where it is a Pylon Scout... Was this a 13 pylon? Yeah, so this was his 13 pylon scout variation of the build order. So let's take a look. There's a few different ways you can do this, but we're just going to write down this one for now. If you guys want to know what the Book of Filth is, it's mostly where I write down cheesy builds, but I started writing down some more macro builds in there. And often when I'm first working on a little guide or a build order, I'll put it in here and then I'll add it later. So... publicly viewable there in chat. I'm the only person who can edit it. Thank you, Hypno Butler. PVT. Sorry, PVZ. We're going to call it Zest's build. I don't know who invented it. I think Harston might have invented this and done... But I feel like Zest's is so crisp. So anyway, Zest's... What is it? 4-gate. Adept Prism. 4-gate Glaive Adept opening. So we can, let's link that VOD up so people can see the reference if they want to just go look at it themselves. There's always a chance I write something down incorrectly here. Harston had a guide about this before the big patch last year. Awesome. All right. So, this is a real standard opening. It's just he's gone 13 pylon. And I actually like that as part of the build. Okay. 13 pylon, scout to block, hatch, and force them to take 3rd. Optionally, send a probe immediately on long maps, like Triton. In this case, use 2nd probe to go for a normal 14 pylon. But the important thing is, like, we want to force them to take the 3rd base, right? Standard follow-up. Adept into Stalker. Adept Shades out, cancels, and hides on the main ramp to deny a Link Scout. Twilight, Robo, both in main. Second gateway walling off. Third and fourth gateway in main. So when do we pull off gas? Second gate goes down, pulls a worker off, pulls 2 workers off gas after the second gateway. And glaives. Okay. Glaives plus pull 1 worker off each gas. Awesome. Now, does he build a 3rd unit, or does he just wait for a warp gate? I think he just goes 2 units. He goes 4 gateways, keeps probing, and then I think we're gonna pause probing at 16 on the natural here. Chronos a prism immediately. Yeah. And then there's already a pylon going down there. Another pylon goes down there. Yeah. So these are going to transform into warp gates in a sec. I don't think he's chrono boosted that at all, because that's a 357 warp gate. He hasn't delayed warp gate at all, but he didn't chrono boost it either. Just chrono boosted the adept and then the stalker. Very standard. That's like just normal. Warps in 2 more adepts. So 3 more adepts. Okay, so that first gateway, as the prism comes out, picks them all up. Beautiful. Okay. Prism plus chrono. Warp in 3 adepts and load, and load into prism. Warp in 4 more adepts. Warp in 4 more adepts as unloading and begin adept fuckery. Now, when exactly did those gases go down? What's the marker for that? People are asking, was it correct to not go overlord speed? Or should he have, or did he do it? Yeah, he didn't. He did not. He did not. I don't think there was actually any cut probes here, right? With this version, was there? Let's take a look at this. He might cut like a probe here or there. I just want to look at this build order, because this was... So we're just watching that probe production. Pauses for a second to get those adepts out. And then pauses at 41 probes. Whoops in these adepts. Should be resuming probe production at this point, since we're only on 4 gates. Yeah. I guess he's going to whoop in another 4 adepts there right away, so... Definitely could be probing a little bit more behind this, though. Or building an immortal or something. Maybe dropping a 3rd nexus. Kind of depends. Obviously, so much focus goes into the adepts. And he just wins the game. Zest's floating money, because he knows he's found an opening and he's got to do more damage and take advantage of it. And he basically just wins the game with this. Starts killing the roaches. Serral's like, ah, I'm fucked. Okay, cool. Good to know. Do you chrono glaives? You don't need to. I think 1 chrono. I think it's a single chrono. Not 100% sure. Alright. 3rd gas. Then 4th gas. Cut probes at 41. Where you're missing the 4th gas mining. Okay. Cool little opening there. Really does demand respect. Very sharp one. Harstem has a guide up on a very similar build, so you guys can Google Harstem's YouTube. It is a great YouTube channel. Really recommend it for anyone who's a Protoss player out there. Okay, so Zest ties up the series 2-2. For those of you, of course, who are like, recast the last game, we're finally getting into it, guys. I just really wanted to check all the tiny details to make sure I understood that build a little bit better. Let's take a look here. It's game 5. It's 2-2 apiece. That's not how you use a peace pig. It's 2-2. So it'd be... It's 2 apiece, not it's 2-2 apiece. I always say that. So he's doing, once again, 13 pylon for a quick block, which is actually insane because it takes you no time to get here on Zen anyway. So he's here ready to block like a 14 hatch almost. Like, that's crazy. So it's so fast. Drone. Okay. All right. Nothing crazy with this opening so far. You can notice one worker off minerals to prioritize gas. So that's one thing you can note here, which tells us Zest wants to go Stargate. There's no reason to do that. If you're going for an Adept build, you need more minerals. Nexus, a couple seconds late there for Zest. Well, about 2 seconds. He was obviously microing his probe down here. He's going to put the cyber core up there. And then I guess second pylon will go here. I guess you can wall with the third pylon, but... Second pylon needs to go down immediately. So he's going to go second pylon here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, with a Stargate, I guess you're pretty safe, right? You got an Oracle, so you can always wall off just as link speed's kicking in kind of thing, or even a little bit after if you want to toe the line there, as long as you kind of check that you're not being cheesed out. So one thing about this build order is it's so tight, and I think Zest's going to do the same. No, he's not, because he's doing Stargate. But with that build order that we looked at in the last game, he's only building 2 gateway units. There's a lot of builds where people only build 1 or 2 gateway units to hit like the crispest, most disgusting timing attack. And obviously something like a Zerg just rallying 20 Lings across the map, doing a Bane Bust or a Ravager Ling Bust tends to kill these things. So this is one of these weird scenarios where obviously in the finals we saw Rogue doing some very aggressive plays to kind of take advantage of it. And, I mean, the thing is, basically, because Zest was so focused on denying scouting, you can see there, he was going to go Stargate. He's actually delayed it by quite a while just to put it out of Serral's vision. And now Serral's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, he's like, you're proxying me. Okay, so now he sees the Stargate. So now Serral knows, but he actually... Oh, yeah, he's already fucked up a little bit there. Let's go back a few seconds, guys. So Serral here... he's left 1 worker on gas, but he's going to lose that Overlord. Started the extra Overlord a little bit late. Oh, he's only on 22 workers. He started a quick third hatch and a quick third queen, but this is actually really painful. I would much rather he had more drones building right now instead of that third queen. Now the drones are pumping out, but it's just, ugh. It's just a little bit late, a little bit of a slow start. So Serral's got to really focus on his droning to make sure he gets back in this game. Now, I like that this Overlord's rotating around to check what's building on the Stargate. I like that his Lings are coming home to protect him. But he's got to catch up on those workers after this delayed start. Now, don't get me wrong. Zest can't do shit with his Stargate units as early as he normally would. So Overlord rotating around. Phoenix is like, oi, where'd you go? It's really hunting for that Overlord. Did not expect it to go this way. Behind this, more Phoenix building. So 1 Stargate Phoenix is a super rare build. I've already faced this build order on the ladder after this tournament. This wall off is so bad. That's hilarious. It's like, what the fuck? 2 pylons? I guess it just makes sense if the gateway is meant to be that late. Really asking for a bust though, isn't it? So the Overlord is going to come back in and it is going to see very late that it's more Phoenix building. But now you know as Serral, let's go to Serral's camera. So Serral should do one thing here. Pull back Overlords and hold down the drone key. But he's just dropped Spore Crawlers. You don't need Spores against Phoenix until there's 4 Phoenix at least. Maybe 5 or 6 Phoenix. So Serral building Spores here is a huge mistake. Because guess what? He's got 7 lava, no minerals, and he's almost supply block. And now he's putting down a Roach Warren. These are not things you need. So there's a reason I wanted to go back in this game. The previous game, Serral shat the bed. But this here... Why is he taking gas and making a lair and a Roach Warren? So basically what's happening here is Serral said, you're going Phoenix, you're trying to deny scouting, you're doing a sneaky all-in behind this. I need to prepare. But the Spore Crawlers don't stop the all-in. And they're not useful against the Phoenixes. The Roach Warren and the lair are way too early considering how this opening's gone. And his drone count literally sucks balls. So this is... I've never seen Serral react as poorly to something as I've seen this right now. Now he's starting to drone and recover, but it's already, you had a bit of an awkward start where you got supply blocked, that first Overlord getting sniped, because Zest changed it up and went Stalker first this game, which he wasn't expecting. That Overlord shouldn't have been as deep as it was. Should have been able to get out, I believe. And because that third queen was started so early, as was the third hatchery, his droning got interrupted really early at the start. He's now followed that up by completely incorrectly responding to this. He should have been just holding down the drone key, spending every bit of lava on drones, overlords, and then he could have added the lair, the roach warren, and the spores a bit later. But this is such a bad response by Serral, and this is really unforgivable. And I'm sure he's very mad at himself after this one. Yeah, I really was looking forward to coming back and look at this game because I was like, was I too harsh on him? But this is just crazy. This is just crazy bad response by Serral this game. He's recovered to an okay economic position, but you can see his creep spread's not great. Only 2 active tumors there moving out. That one's starting to spread a little, but not very effectively. It should be going that way. He's going to get a 4th base on the way. He's trying to drone up to recover. At this point, we see Zest just adding more gateways, charge, +1, Templar Archives, the Prism's on the way. I like this little fake Colossus. I don't think Serral's going to fall for that, because your Zerglings would be taking a lot more damage. You can see the way he turns around. He's like, that's not real. But no gases here. So does Serral know about the lack of gases? No, he hasn't scouted since much earlier in this game. Obviously, it's hard to with the Phoenix there, but I would have liked, since those Phoenix are kind of in a corner, for him to have morphed an Overseer and go straight across that map and check what's up. He's building lots of roaches now, but he's on 71 workers, which is already a bit greedy considering how the early game went. He needs to focus on just non-stop units. These gases also feel like fake gases. You can notice there's no probe production, just 61 probes here. Second warp prism starting up, which tells us Zest is going for a huge timing attack where he wants to reinforce the front and warp in the back door at the same time. So Baneling speed, was that OV speed that just kicked in? Indeed it was. Okay, so Serral comes in. Oh, he's got to go see the gases. If Zest's smart, he puts on gas right now. Yeah, he's already, I mean, he had 61 probes. He built a few more anyway. So he actually decided to saturate the gases anyway. It's a lot of gateways right now, though. And Serral's gone up to 73 workers. He's building a second Evo chamber. And you can see here now it's about to actualize. Zealots, Archons, a Prism, and a few sentries coming across. And even though Serral's quickly responding with his Queens to try and stop this Prism, the Phoenix pick up the Queens, forcing this to happen. The Archons and the Zealots warp in, so these Banelings need to find the Zealots, but the Roaches left on their own. Serral, of course, distracted by the attack on the front. The Banelings turn around, try to get them, and they blow up on the Archons. The Banelings needed to find the center of those Zealots. Those Zealots represent so much damage right now, and Archon does go down on the front, but those Zealots, as they warp in greater numbers, they're going to do great damage. The Zealots and the Archons on the ramp taking down these Queens. Some Transfusers do go down, but the Zealots just do crazy damage, and the Roaches unable to hold their ground. Back up at the third, we've got Ravagers trying to bile down. They do take out an Observer, but the Zealots on top of the Roaches, and the Roaches don't have the critical mass needed to shoot down these Zealots quickly. We've got another 10 Zealots warping in. It is a 10-gate, 3-base timing attack here from Zest, and he is going to headbutt Serral out of this game. Serral here felt like really lost track of where he was in the game. Early on, made multiple, well, it was mainly that big just not reacting correctly to the Phoenix and not prioritizing his workers. But it got worse there because it seems like he didn't even realize he'd fucked that up. And he continued to just kind of drone his fourth as normal, where he needed to be much safer than normal to survive in this game. So while scouting for that third base, and like I said, I really wish he didn't need Overlord speed. I wish he just sent an Overseer across a bit earlier. But I feel like he just should not have droned his fourth base at all if he'd recognized he was behind. Now, if he thought he was even, the way he played here was perfectly safe. He's like, all right, I'll squeeze in a second Evo. Okay, I'll trickle a few drones over to that fourth base. You know, we transfer a few from the main in a little bit as it runs out. For now, just a few drones, just a few more drones. But in this scenario, he's way behind, man. So, and this all comes back to just fundamental how to play against one Stargate Phoenix. You know, I think something Serral maybe thought when he saw the extra Phoenix. I don't know, man. Because, like, okay, so it's 3 Phoenix. You know this is 1-star Phoenix. Yeah, you just got to drone, build more Overlords and drone. So putting down spores doesn't really do anything here. Bit too early for those. It's already got 4 queens. And because he builds 2 more queens as well, going up to 6 queens, that's like a lot of anti-air. So, big mistake. You guys can hear the bird? Nice. Yeah, bird just landed in the tree outside my window. He says, hey, I'll translate. I do speak bird. After hanging out with Neuro enough, I've learned to speak Berbarian. Barbarian? Burb. The bird says, "Hey cunts, what's up?" Nice. All right, yeah, this was a big mistake. So, man, just to hit home, there's like a fundamental thing you guys can check if you want to look at your macro in a game and see how you did. Look at your lava tab. And if you've got a lot of lava sitting there, that's a sign that your build order, some shit went wrong in your macro. And it could be because the situation forced it, but if you see a lot of idle lava, that tells you your economy machine is not rolling as quickly and smoothly as it should. And if we just go to this corner of the map, we just watch that unit tab, there are several minutes in this game where Serral, for a brief moment, touches 3 lava, but other than that, he's mostly at somewhere between 5 and 9 lava. So Serral got really dicked here. Now, technically, Glaive Adepts can follow up a Stargate build quite early. But you've got to remember that in this case, I feel like Zest just threw off Serral's game knowledge, right? So let's go right back. First of all, forces the 3rd hatch. That fucks up the build a little bit, but this costs from Zest. Remember, Zest built this pylon 1 supply early, delayed building his 14th probe to get it down. What's really funky here is this. So Serral comes in with the Overlord. He reacts by going Stalker first. And Serral's like, "Where's your pylon?" He sees this and he's like, "Wait, but there's no structure on it? Not even on the low ground?" He's like, "What the fuck?" And even though this Stargate ends up delayed, because he was literally, if you look at that one more time from Zest's camera, Zest going to build it. He's about to put the Stargate down. He's like, "Wait, the Overlord's going to see this shit." And he's like, actually, shit, run down there. He could have put that Stargate down 15 seconds ago. So it's a 15-second delay on the Stargate, but it freaks Serral out a little bit because he then doesn't get confirmation on Stargate until... Doop-de-doop-de-doop. And remember, guys, he was already losing that first Overlord was actually really bad with what I was talking about with the 3rd hatch and the 3rd queen and that supply block. Guess what else is really bad? He built a Spore Crawler in the main and let it finish because he didn't have the information about it being Phoenix. So he was playing safe against it potentially being Oracle. So building a Spore this early, you might be like, what's the big deal? It's 1 Spore Crawler pig. That's a drone plus another drone and a half in minerals. It's a lot of fucking money that he does not need to build for another minute in this game. So there's just wave upon wave of him taking damage. And he's like, wait, there's multiple Phoenix. And he's kind of like... I feel like Serral was looking at the game timer and going, well, if he does a Phoenix into Glaive Adept timing, same with an Oracle into Glaive Adept timing, technically, I probably should build the Roach Warren by about 4 minutes 40 at latest, 4:30, 4:45 to be safe against that. Well, I'm afraid of his Glaive Adept timing. I'll be a little bit safe. I'll drop this 10 seconds early. We might as well start a lair now as well. That way we can get Overseers if we need him versus DTs. And then we can make roach speed and stuff. Yeah, this seems like a good idea. I mean, I don't know if he was looking at his game timer or what, but I think there was a disconnect between where he thought he was in the game and where he actually was. And this is something that happens to me if I'm forced to take my 3rd base out here and then I'm dealing with this weird, inefficient, late single Stargate Phoenix build. Don't expect it to happen to Serral. You'd expect Serral here to say, your build's a little bit slower. You sent a really fast probe across to block my hatch. You delayed your Stargate. You've done this kind of weird opening. You've built multiple Phoenixes. This isn't a single Oracle into Adept timing. This is at least 3 Phoenixes that I saw. I can delay my idea and my concept of where I am in the game and push everything back. You've got this sliding scale, right? Whereas a player, you should be saying to yourself, oh, he's done some kind of inefficient shit. It slowed me down. I need to push back my game time a sense. So if I'm normally going to put a roach down at 4:35, let's delay that till 4:45 or 4:50. Let's delay that roach warren a little bit. The Phoenix was just a straight up, the spores were just a straight up mistake. But if you delay that roach warren, that's 1 drone that keeps mining plus 150 minerals. That's 3 more drones he could build straight away. Right? It's another Overlord and a drone. Just the earlier you get these drones out, the more time they get to pay for yourself and your engine builds. But once you slow yourself down at crucial moments over and over again, suddenly you find yourself in this position where, like, when this game ends, I mean, this is just not a good position numbers-wise for Serral, right? So you've got this attack that's going to come in, and let's look at it as the first warp in happens. Okay, so we've got 7 zealots coming across the map. We've got 10 more warping in. So 17 zealots, 3 Archons, a couple Sentries, a Stalker, 2 Prisms. What do we got for Serral? 11 Roaches, 4 Ravagers, and 10 Banelings and 10 Zerglings. He's got 24 more Lings on the way, but like the fact that these Banelings haven't even finished morphing, like this is pretty fucking weak. We've got a lot of Roaches and Ravagers in our army, and we're down in army supply. That's fucking bad, guys. Like, don't get me wrong, Zealot Archon's not the most efficient, but neither is Roach Ravager. Roach Ravager's really bad. If you've got like a shitload of Banes in your army, it's okay to be at the same army supply as Protoss, right? They got a lot of Zealots, you got a lot of Banelings, so you got more supply efficient army. In this case, it was just 10 Banes. Just Lings and Roaches. Serral was just way behind. It was a sick timing attack from Zest. This doesn't necessarily work though, if you're not way ahead, right? So GG's. I mean, it's really sad to see Serral go out here. I think what was weird for me is this is the first time I saw Serral not just look mortal, but like really just not look himself in a big event. I don't know if he got in his own head, got a bit too tense, was like, I gotta win this, I'm favored, he's just gonna try and cheese me, just don't lose to the cheeses, Zest's nowhere near as good as me. I don't know what the self-talk was, but at the end of the previous game where Serral dropped Trow and got brutally destroyed on Ephemeron, there was a camera shot of him like talking to himself really angrily right through even up to the game starting. And I like a player talking to himself and getting a bit G'd, but it looked like it was a bit more out of control than what we normally see from Serral. By the way, there's always a funny moment there. The Protoss has like 1600 gas because he doesn't want to warp Archons into a battle. You're like, warp in, and now morph for 10 seconds before you can fight. GG's, well played there. Bluya says the Lings saw the Stargate already. Oh, that is true. They did see the Stargate, but he didn't see if it was Phoenix or Oracle. Was the problem. Yeah, like it's more important. That's why he built the Spore Crawlers, because he didn't know what it was off it. So it kind of backfired. It would have been better if he didn't know it was a Stargate, because then he would have held off on that Spore Crawler till a bit later. But because he saw the Stargate, it was actually bad for him, man. It's bad. He was saying all the Finnish and German curse words at the same time. I remember, because I was watching this in the green room, one of them, we were like 100% sure we caught him saying, fuck, something, fuck. Like, I think he said fuck at least twice in one of the shots on Serral's face. We're like, oh, he's swearing in English now. That's not Finnish. We're like, he definitely just said fuck a few times. We were like, oh, no. I mean, this obviously, everyone has ups and downs and no one can perform 100% all the time. So his hands were shaking a little bit. He was visibly upset. People are saying, yeah, I mean, the thing is, there was a lot of things that went down here, man. It was a little bit crazy. But yeah, I think Serral's a human. You know what? I think he'll come back stronger. But yet again, Katowice, not his tournament, and wasn't quite able to bring it together there. Zest doing some good build orders. I love the blocking of the natural. I love the weird information denial. I love the fake pylon cannon rush on Triton. Like, these are all fucking cool things, guys. He just did so many little things to keep Serral guessing and to keep him uncomfortable. Surprising engagement mistake on Nightshade. A few other mistakes there. First time we've seen Serral just play completely wrong and unsafe in map 4 of this series. And then in map 5 have a few crucial mistakes where he was playing scared and overreacting to what his opponent was doing and fell behind because of that. So yeah, you know, unfortunate to see that. A lot of people have been saying, oh, you know, Rogue showed how to counter Zest's builds. Serral should have done that as well. He should have been aggressive. Rogue's more dynamic, blah, blah, blah. That's a different style of player. So don't get me wrong. Serral might have been able to take some easy wins and get a bit more of a disruption against Zest by doing something like what Rogue did. At the same time, Zest fucked up so incredibly hard with his scouting where he scouted what Rogue was doing and just didn't react in multiple times in that series because he just wasn't paying attention. So it's a little bit of Rogue got a bit lucky. He chose some good build orders, but like you've also got to say like that's Rogue's style. Rogue is the guy who runs across and kicks the other guy in the nuts at the start of the fight. It's a very well planned where he pretends to do one thing, feints, and then kicks them in the nuts, but he kicks them in the nuts. Serral's not that guy. Serral's a guy who has built his legacy, and he's fucked up Rogue really hard in big tournaments to the point where Rogue looked like he couldn't believe what he was playing against. That this guy was so solid was because Serral was refusing to give in and refusing to play any style other than his macro reactive defensive style. And Serral's taken it to a new level. I, for the longest time, was like, no, the Korean style of being more aggressive is actually objectively better because no one plays close enough to a perfect game. And then, like, I saw a Rogue, and I was like, oh, he actually kind of plays like the EU players, but he's got these, like, crisp timing attacks and abusive builds, and he's doing a lot more of those less reactive plays these days. He's become more and cheesy and more aggressive and more abusive over the last year. We've seen a different Rogue emerge. But I used to be like, oh, Rogue's actually, like, you know, really good at that stuff. But like when he played Serral at the BlizzCon that Serral won, you know, he threw everything at Serral and was ahead multiple times, but could not kill him. And Serral was just like this fucking rock. And Rogue actually ground himself down trying to kill Serral in that series, to the point where there was that famous screenshot where they went to Rogue's face at the end of this like 45-minute game where he was just starting to lose steam. We'd been ahead all game and throwing shit at Serral and couldn't finish him. And you saw Rogue just with this like look of like he just lost all fucking motivation because he realized that Serral was just better than him defensively. And in these long drawn out games, you could not kill him. And you could see like Rogue was like, nobody could survive this except this guy. I've thrown so many Nidus Lurkers at this guy. I've hit him in 3 places nonstop. I've killed like 100 drones in this game, but he keeps rebuilding them and he keeps absorbing the punches, and he's just like slowly walking forwards to the late game. And I mean, the fact that like that's 2 different players. I love that we've got players who play differently. I think Serral is better for the game because Rogue is one of the most abusive fuckers out there, and he does give us really one-sided series. And this is not just this last one. This is BlizzCon last year as well. Rogue was the cancer of that tournament. He's like, yeah, I wasn't practicing for 6 months because I won so much money, but then I realized Zerg's unbeatable, so I figured out how to Nidus Swarm Host a lot. And you're like, what? And then he kept doing it in the dirtiest way possible. Like Rogue will lose to basic shit in his games. And we saw this against Maru as well in his series, where Rogue will just like 6 Hellions will come in and he's like, oh, I actually like don't have enough Queens and Lings to defend that. And they kill 30 drones. And you're like, this is basic shit. And Rogue's like, yeah, well, the thing is, if he didn't poke in right then, I was about to get enough stuff up. And if I got away with that bit of greed, my Nidus Swarm Host or my giant 1/1 Roach attack would hit at such a timing that my opponent just can't defend it. And you're like, oh, you're like constantly cutting corners and finding these ways where if Rogue gets away with anything in his games, he turns it into something really brutal, which is kind of the way Neeb plays Protoss like that as well a lot in his games, where it's like cuts a corner, but he's a bit greedy. If he gets away with it, he fucks you up really hard because he hits like a timing off that greed that's faster than normally can be worked in. So Rogue's a beast. Rogue's actually one of the reasons that I look at it and I'm like, ooh, he's getting away with his greedy shit too much. Like, I feel like he's rolling the dice a bit in his series, and yet it's working a lot. And I'm kind of going, oh, maybe we need to remove those 5 hit points off the Banelings. Maybe creep needs to be nerfed. Like, I don't fucking know. I would like a small Zerg nerf. And I'm going to have a good think about what exactly that should be and what exactly some other changes to the game could potentially be. Because, yeah, Rogue, it's not just him. There's a lot of Zergs who are getting away with some crazy play styles right now. And we'll see how it goes. But they're all doing really well. I was so surprised. Like, Rogue masterclassed Dark, by the way. Dark did not play that great, but Rogue, like, such good preparation and build. So don't get me wrong, Rogue's a genius and a god. But I do think maybe Zerg's slightly OP right now. We'll see exactly how it goes. StarCraft's a very dynamic game. Things change all the time with map pools and as understanding happens. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that series. It's the first time we've seen Serral fall apart in a series with how he played. Hats off to Zest for making it happen. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to take away credit from Zest because I think Zest did so many things in this series to make Serral uncomfortable. And he like really, you know, he's just trying to unscrew all the little nuts and bolts that pull Serral together. And I think it was definitely something where I would expect Serral to normally, in good form, on a good day, have withstood all of that, maybe dropped a map or 2, but definitely have won the series. But we saw Serral fall apart, and hats off to Zest for applying the pressure. I guarantee you guys, even if Serral was a little off that day, if Zest didn't do all those things to fuck with Serral, Serral still would have gotten his comfort zone, found his rhythm, and started destroying. And I think he would have warmed up, got into the finals, and had a sick series against Rogue, which I was kind of hoping for that Rogue or Maru versus Serral. Either one of those I would have been happy for. Didn't happen. We'll have to wait for the next tournament. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this very slow breakdown. It's kind of a cast. It's kind of me just thinking about and kind of reminiscing on what the fuck we just witnessed, because this was such a big match. We're also going to do Rogue Maru. We're also going to do Rogue versus Zest, the boppening. And yeah, stay tuned for those videos. Thanks for watching, guys. GG's.